I think in order to answer this question, we need to go back a number of years, starting in the 1990s, when we saw for the first time on a regional level agreement on how democracy was defined. So according to the Organization of American States and its members, democracy was understood as representative democracy. However, 1998, 1999, beginning with the government of Hugo Chavez, there was a serious questioning of how we should define democracy. So what we began to see in the new millennium is something of a discursive contest between, and a practical contest, institutional context between two different types of democracy. One could say two first cousins. On one side, representative democracy, which we all understand is basically that combination of institutions and electoral practices, separation of powers, that sort of thing. And on the other side, a more radical vision of democracy as first proposed by Hugo Chavez and his government and experimented in Venezuela, which has been called democracia participativa y protagónica. The idea of much more radical participation in all aspects of political life in the country, and a more active role for citizenship, right? Well, fast forward to now, and I think both of these models of democracy, in theory and practice, have shown problems. We see with representative democracy, the critiques that were made many years ago by Chavez and other leaders of the left in Latin America still stand. We're seeing electoral processes where there is a lack of citizenship on the part of people, where poverty and exclusion and inequality play an important role in limiting the real potential of democracies, and where you see basically institutions captured by self-serving elites. On the other side, the experiment of radical democracy has also had its problems. And quite honestly, if we look at these experiments, for example, Hugo Chavez's and Maduro's experiment with radical democracy in Venezuela, what we see is essentially that when people enthusiastically respond to the invitation to participate and to be more active citizens, when their decisions run counter to the decisions of those above, their leaders, generally they are asked to toe the line, to respect and be loyal to the vision from above, and sacrificing their own ideas. So the autonomy of the very people with their own local experiments has been called into question. So in this conjuncture right now, what we see basically is the limits of both models, I think, against clear structural problems, poverty, inequality, and at the top, elites who have captured these institutions, as we know from the Panama Papers, as we know from the Paradise Papers, from Odebrecht and its corruption across the region. There is a widespread perception that these elites serve only their interests and have little or no interest in promoting a democracy that benefits others. I personally have a sense of frustration here. Basically, we've seen an interchangeable role between the OAS and UNASUR vis-a-vis Venezuela. In 2014, February 2014, when the current crisis first erupted very seriously after the murder of a former beauty queen in Venezuela, we saw the Organization of American States attempt to define an important role for itself, but we saw the region, that is Latin American and Caribbean, react in favor of a role for UNASUR and the exclusion of the Organization of American States. Why? Obviously, to limit the potential for U.S. involvement and intervention in Venezuela, and in favor of Latin American or South American solutions for the problem in Venezuela. At the beginning, UNASUR did a good job via a commission of 3 foreign ministers from Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil, who attempted to foster a dialogue between government and opposition. By 2015, that process had stalled, and the individual countries, member states of UNASUR, found themselves with economic and political difficulties at home. Basically, UNASUR went from an active role to very little role in Venezuela. We find UNASUR right now without a Secretary General, and basically with little impact on what's going on in Venezuela at the moment. We also see that the role of both institutions is tied to electoral tendencies in the region. That is, in the OAS in 2014, a majority of social democratic, that center, left-wing governments united to prevent the OAS and the United States playing a significant role in Venezuela. Well, fast forward to 2018, and we see a division in terms of ideological persuasion and in terms of political parties in the region, such that now countries such as Brazil and Argentina, who had governments of the left before, now have governments of center-right and would like once again for the OAS to play a role. Venezuela and its allies have clearly indicated that they have no interest in a role for the OAS or for the United States in this conflict. So at this moment we see institutional stagnation, neither the OAS nor UNASUR being able to play any effective or significant role at this moment in trying to solve the Venezuelan crisis.